Most entrepreneurs don't fail because their idea wasn't great. They don't fail because they lacked ambition. They fail because they didn't protect what they built. And this isn't just my opinion. Forbes reports that around 18% of startups fail because of legal challenges, like compliance failures, regulatory hurdles, and contract oversights. And here's the scary part: sometimes it's the tiniest oversight, something you don't even notice, that can collapse your business overnight. My guest today has seen these risks firsthand. Marta Colomar is the administrating managing partner at Diaz International Law Firm, a multilingual team with 32 offices worldwide across the US, Latin America, Europe, Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. Her firm is recognized by the Legal 500, Chambers USA and Latin America, Best Lawyers, and Global Investigation Review for its work in international arbitration, fraud, sanctions compliance, and cross border disputes. Marta herself holds law degrees from both the University of Barcelona and Nova Southeastern University in the US. She's admitted to practice in Florida, New York, Washington, D.C., Spain, and even the US Supreme Court. She's also been named one of Latin America's top 100 female attorneys. Today, she's going to share not only the tiny legal oversights that can destroy a business, but most importantly, how you can prevent them. Marta, welcome to the Entrepreneurial Edge.
Thank you so much for having me.
Marta, your story is incredible. From Barcelona to Miami, from law student to administrating managing partner of an international firm. What drew you to the international law in the first place?
I had it in me that when I was in Spain studying law in Barcelona, I had this call to go see the world and learn from other parts of the world. Spain was becoming small for me, but it was innate. It was in me. And I got a scholarship to come study into the US. I actually just wanted to see the world, to be honest with you. I didn't want to study law. I wanted to go see the world. And my dad said, I'm not going to pay for that. So I applied for this scholarship and I came to the US to study law. I did not see the world. I only saw law school, books. And then I stayed. I stayed because I always wanted to do something else. I wanted to do a little bit more. My idea was always to go back to Spain, but I wanted to use my knowledge and use everything that I've learned before going back. And, life brings you your mysterious paths. So I applied to this firm and they hired me. And from that point on, I was like, okay, this is my home. This is what I want to do. This is the type of law I want to do. There are interesting issues. There's no copy paste here. We think about our cases. We think about the facts. We think about the patterns. We think about the problems. We try to provide solutions to our clients that are different. And I think that has been something that has crafted the brand that we've created, which is that you really deal with very complicated and usually strange issues, which makes it very fun.
Do you remember a moment early in your career when you saw how just one tiny oversight nearly destroyed the company?
Yeah, I've seen more than one. Not oversight from the lawyer's perspective, but oversight from the client's perspective. I've seen multiple. One that comes to mind is this client was in the medical device industry, and they actually came from Spain. They signed a lease, an office lease. I mean, this is not a complicated matter, right? But even in simple matters, you can have problems. They signed this lease, this office lease that they could not afford without our counsel. They signed a 1-year lease with crazy penalties. They started receiving demand letters from the landlord without consulting counsel. They responded to them. And ultimately, the landlord filed a lawsuit. Only when that happened, they came to us. It was too late. It was too late. Yeah, there was nothing that I could do for them. I advised them on what to do, on how to try to settle, come up with offenses. They didn't listen to me. No, When you don't listen to your lawyer fires you. So we terminate the client. And ultimately, the landlord got a judgment against the company for millions of dollars,
Oh my,
and the company's bankrupt.
oh my God, for something like from a lease. That's
Yes,
incredible and
yes,
scary.
it
Very
is.
scary. Wow. Well, most entrepreneurs don't think about lawyers until something goes wrong, similar to the case you mentioned. What are the biggest mistakes you see entrepreneurs making?
That's one of the biggest mistakes, what you just mentioned, that they call the lawyer when the problem is already when it's too late sometimes. Um, Companies, entrepreneurs, new businesses see lawyers as a cost center, and they don't want to spend that money because they are putting all capital with their company. It's understandable, but unfortunately, it's not a wise business decision. Having a lawyer on board that can advise you on the risks, and you can make your business decisions, but at least it's an informed decision. Okay, I'm gonna advise you. For example, this client, here's the lease. This is everything that the lease says. This is what it means for you practically. This is what happens if you don't pay. These are the consequences. At least if you are willing to sign it, regardless, it was an informed decision. Unfortunately, we're problem solvers more than advisors, which we should be at the beginning.
You do
With
cost avoidance. You do cost
exactly.
avoidance,
That,
right?
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's what I always try to tell my clients, especially when they have had a bad experience and go into a new business venture. And then they call, okay, I'm going into this business venture. Can we sit down? Can we look at everything? Can you advise me on it? Absolutely. That's the right thing to do. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen often.
You've worked across the US, Spain, and Latin America at Diaz. Reus now spans 32 offices. If an entrepreneur or company wants to expand globally, what's the very first legal step they should take?
Well, I'm going to give you some news. We just had our opening of our 33rd office. We opened an office in Saudi Arabia
Ah,
today.
well,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, yes. And the first thing that you should look into when you're expanding is what that country is about, the cultural differences, the nuances. So, what we do is maybe it's a little bit of a secret. I should not be saying it, but I'll say it to you. What we do is we go hand in hand with a local partner. So we're not going to go as a US law firm or US based law firm to Saudi Arabia, for example, and say, okay, we're here. We want to open an office. That, in my opinion, would never work. So how we open our offices, and my recommendation to my clients always is try to either spend time there and know your surroundings, what you're doing, the market, learn the culture, all of that, or go hand in hand with a local partner. A local partner that already knows the bureaucracy, what you need, the permits, how this works, how that works, where to even establish your office, what neighborhood, what type of clients, what type of problems does that country have. I think that is the secret to success.
Okay. What is the most surprising things entrepreneurs discover when they expand into new markets? Marta.
I think just the cultural differences, the way that not everybody does business like in the United States. I'm speaking from my clients' perspective, that vast majority of them are US based, or even if they're Latin American based, they have businesses in the US. The more surprising thing sometimes is the way business is done and the way the courts work. So if you have a dispute, for example, in Spain, we have this thing called consumer court. Okay, so if you're a consumer, for example, in Spain, and you buy a product from, let's say, Alibaba. Alibaba is our client. We represent Alibaba worldwide. We are one of the only law firms in the US that are panel counsel for them. And we represent them in consumer claims in Spain. Alibaba didn't know that there's consumer court in Spain, and the claims are streamlined. Anybody can go. You don't need a lawyer for that. Usually people are pro se, they present their evidence, but it is a serious claim. Like, this is a serious court claim system or court system. So if you don't know that, that could be a surprise for Alibaba. Thankfully, they had us as Senate counsel and we're able to advise them on how those claims work, what defenses you can raise. I've encountered that is what surprises people the most and businessmen the most. That's why having an international firm backing you up that you can just call and say, hey, Marta, I'm now I want to do business in Germany. Okay, here's our office call. They will be able to assist you with everything. To me, it's so important.
Yeah. Wow. Your firm has represented governments and Fortune 1000 companies in international arbitration. For those who may not know, what exactly is arbitration and why does it matter for global businesses?
So arbitration is very popular because it's a alternative method of resolving a dispute. And parties enter into an agreement to arbitrate any disputes that they may have, which means that instead of going to the regular court system, they're going to go to a panel of arbitrators that are going to decide what's going to happen with that dispute. Arbitration is recognized worldwide. There's international treaties about arbitration. A court issues a judgment, an arbitral panel issues an award. When an award is issued, you can domesticate it worldwide. It acts as a court judgment. So it's a recognized process worldwide. The advantages of arbitration is that it's confidential, it's not public record, and it's supposed to be faster and more streamlined. The disadvantages are that it's not appealable. Once you get the award, that's it. There's pretty much nothing you can do with that. Unless you can come up with, oh, this arbitrator was biased because he worked for the plaintiff, for example, or issues like that. Once the award is issued, there's nothing you can do.
Okay. Really understood. So let's talk about compliance. I've heard that compliance is not just about avoiding fines, it's about trust. Why would that be so important?
Compliance is very important because compliance can bring you so many problems. So when I talk about compliance, and I talk about putting all your things in order. Compliance at all levels of your company. Compliance about who are you doing business with? How are you going to do those businesses? How are you going to perform under that compliance regime? For banks, for example, that we represent worldwide, it's so important to have your compliance ready. Compliance includes AML, OFAC sanctions, all types of regulations of the banking sector. If you think about it, I don't know if a lot of people know that, but United States has this OFAC department that sanctions people worldwide, which means that when someone is in the OFAC list, no U.S. person, actually almost nobody in the world, but no U.S. person can do business with that designated company, person, or country. And if you do, you're going to be sanctioned. Your visa can be revoked. Your family's visa can be revoked. And it's a nightmare because no bank is going to want to do business with you. Your bank accounts are going to be closed. Your funds are going to be frozen. That's it.
Oh
Yes.
my God, Marta.
So we help banks with their compliance. We assist them. We draft their compliance manuals. We give them training. And on the other hand, I'll also tell you that sometimes these OFAC sanctions are not an exact science. And sometimes there are mistakes, and the United States government puts people in the OFAC sanctions that don't deserve it. And we have clients that we have been able to delist, which I'll tell you, it's almost impossible. I'm very proud of being able to say that we have been able to delist people from the OFAC list because once you're there, it's very, very difficult to get out.
Wow.
And you can be there for many reasons, for allegations of corruption, for allegations of money laundering, for allegations of drug trafficking. They don't have to show you evidence that you are doing those things to put you on the OFAC list.
Wow, I didn't even know about that list. This is like, for me, mind blowing. And like, as entrepreneurs, we should all be aware of who's in that list so you don't do any business with those people.
100%. And it's not only that you're doing business with those people. If one of those people is 51% owner of the company, you're forbidden from doing business with that company as well.
Wow. Man, this is an incredible podcast, people. You're getting some special information here from Marta. All right, Mario. If I was an investor, what is the one legal red flag that would make me walk away immediately from an investment?
Being on the OFAC list. Imagine that you're going to do business with a partner, right? And that partner goes to a meeting and tells you that his girlfriend or his ex-wife or his son or his daughter has had their visa revoked. Oh, that's a big no-no. To me, that's a massive red flag. That means that there's some issues in the United States with this person, that the United States government is looking at it. It could be OPAC, it could be Homeland Security investigations. That I would advise my client immediately to not continue to invest business with that person. At least not the same way that they're doing.
Yes. My gosh. You're making me aware of things that I never dreamed of.
Yes, you have to be proactive.
Yes. You've been in high stakes situations, from fraud cases to government disputes, where billions and reputations were on the line. How do you stay grounded under this kind of pressure, Marta?
It's hard. Let me tell you, it is hard. It is hard, especially when you have clients that have their lives in your hands because they're facing jail for, many, 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 many years. Deportation to very complicated countries, very dangerous countries. What my secret has always been to over prepare. I'm always ready. I know my client's case as if it was my own life, and I'm always ready. I also try to keep a poker face. Sometimes it's not effective. I try to do that.
Well, you are extremely prepared, and I've interacted with you on a personal level, and you've been there for our team, and it's cool, and I really appreciate. So,
Likewise.
have you ever faced those setbacks, and what did they teach you about resilience?
I have. And any lawyer that tells you that they haven't, that is not true. We all face setbacks, scary situations, problems that you don't know how you're going to get out of. But that teaches you to be more resilient, to be stronger, learn from your mistakes, never do it again, and always move forward.
Yeah. How many years of experience, like as a whole, Marta, you had now?
17.
It's a lot of lessons learned.
A lot. A lot of yes.
Let's get practical. If you could give entrepreneurs, companies, or governments 3 steps they should take today to protect themselves, what would those be?
Hire a lawyer, hire a good lawyer, and make sure that you have good compliance.
Those are great. Oh my God. This list. I need the link to this list.
It's public record. You can Google it. You can Google OFAC list and you'll find a list of OFAC sanctions. Cuba, for example, is a sanctioned country. So you'll have countries that are sanctioned. You cannot do business with North Korea, for example. You cannot do business with Iran, for example, as a U.S. person from the U.S. That applies not only to us as individuals, it also applies to banks, business entities, foreign banks. No foreign bank that wants to have accounts in dollars will be able to ever do business with Iran or with a sanctioned person or a sanctioned country unless it's willing to face the risk of sanctions. And sanctions, I'm talking about monetary sanctions that can be in the billions of dollars.
Wow, I've been very scared of all the things that I'm learning. And I'm sure most entrepreneurs are not aware of everything you're saying. So it's invaluable. So if someone's listening or watching and is already scaling but hasn't thought much about legal protection, What should they do tomorrow morning, Marta? Give you
I,
guys.
tomorrow morning, wake up, call a lawyer, a business lawyer or a litigation lawyer, because litigators can see things, before a business lawyer or a contract lawyer can see them, and protect yourself. Or at least if you're still gonna go forward, at least you can make an informed decision on what you're doing and be aware of the consequences.
Wow, Marta, this has been such a powerful conversation. What I love most is that your work isn't just about solving problems, it's about empowering entrepreneurs, companies, and even governments to protect what they've built and grow with confidence. For anyone listening or watching, if they want to learn more about you and Diaz Rice, what's the best way to find you?
So they can just find us on our website, diazroyce.com, or they could call 305-375-9220 in Miami, which is our headquarters, and they'll be able to send them to the appropriate person.
That's perfect. And I'll also include it in the comments. So, whether you're an entrepreneur, an established company, or even part of a government, if you want to protect your business from those tiny oversights that could collapse it overnight, make sure you check out Diaz Rice. Marta, thank you so much for joining us on the Entrepreneurial Edge.
Thank you so much for having me.